What's up, guys? Devin Zander here with my co-host
Clayton Downton.
and we are the
Rowdy Boys.
Sounds so good every time.
Welcome back.
Yes, guys, welcome back to the universe's #1 marketing podcast. Subscribers in each galaxy, all over. It's crazy. And I heard they're planning to introduce us in a new universe soon, which is pretty cool.
That's great.
Too.
You know, the universe is always expanding.
Well,
so.
we're going to be in the other universes as well.
Okay, great.
Multiverse. Anyways, today we are back with a mindset episode. Clayton, lay it on the people. What are we discussing today?
Look, we are the rowdiest podcast about marketing, but you can't just have only the marketing skills. You got to have the mindset to go with it because, without the mindset, then you're just going to have the skills. You won't actually be able to execute on those skills. So today,
execute consistently.
Yeah, and if you only do the mindset, you're just a monk sitting in the middle of the woods. So you got to have both. All right. So today, what I really want to talk about is, man, I have to tell you that when we were trying to grow the company, we were doing fine. But every time I'd read something online, it just seemed like everyone else out there was like crushing it out of control. You know what I mean? Like every article I would ever read would be like, "Oh, I did this one trick on Twitter. We got like 7 zillion followers." Yeah, and I'm like, dude, whatever I was doing was not that at all. And I was like, dude,
Post on Twitter, you don't even get a single retweet.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, are these people just like nothing but net like all the time? Because that's all I would ever see.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that definitely, people just aren't posting their failures. Nobody likes to talk about their failures. So today, I actually wanted to talk about failures, mistakes, a super hard time, something like that. Because I want to let everybody know that if you are going through a hard time, or if you aren't one of those nothing but net all the time people, like no one actually is, that's totally fine. And actually, not only is it fine, when I look back historically, man, my hardest times, the times that sucked the most, they actually got me to take action. They got me to change internally.
You are today.
Yeah, and it got me to sometimes have like one of my best strengths came from like the hardest times. So I'm sure it's like almost everybody that's really grown and has done something great, something similar has happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like you have a choice. When something goes bad, you have a choice. One, you can be a victim and say like, this happened to me, right?
Yeah,
this thing happened to me. Or you take the decision to go through that hard pit of despair and figure it out, and you come out way stronger on the other end. So I wanted to hear from you. What is there something that happened in your life that was like that? Something that was really hard, and you had to change internally to overcome that struggle, and it gave you a great strength after that.
Oh yeah, totally. And I think something important to note, it's twofold. Is number one, I think successful people have failed a lot more than they've won. That's just the nature of success. Is you're going to be going, like, getting to success is just trying shit over and over and over and over and over again until you find stuff that really works, and then you just fucking all in on that, and then it stops working eventually, and then over and over. It's just a cycle. So it's totally normal to fail, and people shouldn't expect not to. And then number two,
that expectations is huge. I mean, if you expect to just like crush on the first time,
you're
like
fucked.
Dude, I expect nothing to work. You know what I'm saying? So.
Everything to break. Murphy's Law. Anything that can't go wrong will. But number two is you should embrace failure, because think about this, man. Think about here's like a really simple way to frame it. What I'm trying to say, I guess I should preface, is that we actually learn and appreciate a lot more from bad times than we do good times.
Yeah.
And a good way to think about this is you probably get tons of really nice emails from customers that like you, or tons of good reviews from customers that like you. You have a 4.9 out of 5 rating. This is us. And then when you get that one-star review, and it drives you like nuts.
Yeah.
And you totally, it's like there are thousands of reviews, but there's one bad one, and you're like, oh, this sucks. Like, I hate my life now. And you totally forget about all the good times. So it's really important to think about this and understand that these bad things and why you care about them so much is because this is your opportunity to learn and grow.
Yeah.
So that being said, I'll get into my my story here, everybody, on the rowdiest motherfucking podcast in the motherfucking universe. All right. So big failure for me.
Rowdy
this
failure.
happened to me in like 2015 2015. Yeah, 2015. So I had just made like I had like a couple $100,000 in the bank. I made like
Doing pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, I made like over $1 million gross that year, and I was
Damn.
like, hell yeah, I got a couple 100,000 and go out buy a new car, just spending all my money and being really irresponsible with my money. I bought like 3 cars in like 2 months. So I'm like blowing this cash really quickly.
You can't even drive 3 cars at the same time.
I know. I
Like,
sold one of them. I had 2. How much I didn't, but that just doesn't matter. So I'm like, okay, well now I need to make more money. So I want to start a software company. Here's the thing. It's like, I don't know jack shit about software. Literally nothing. I've just been an infopreneur up until this point.
Yeah.
So I decide I want to make a little e-com software. It'll be a video player where people can view products, videos on Facebook, and then buy them directly in their news feed without ever leaving to have to go to the Shopify store or anything. It could all just be done in Facebook. And now, like thinking back, I don't think that software would have been very good or useful anyways, but at the time I thought it was a great idea. So I go to Upwork. I think it might have still been Odesk at the time. Just went on there and I threw up a job listing explaining the software, and I have no idea what the fuck to look for in a developer. I don't know what PHP is. I don't know what JavaScript is. All I know is that there is HTML and CSS out there, and those exist. And I was like, maybe, and I even remember in the job post, I said something like, be good with Flash.
Flash.
So it's like, yeah,
Wow.
totally. I go out there, I put this job out there, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to hire the most expensive person because they'll be the best. They'll know what to do, right? So job listing goes up, and I don't know anything about hiring either. So, because this is like my first employee, I hadn't even hired support staff at this point yet. I was still doing support on my own. And so one day goes by, and I don't know that I should wait for more applicants to come in. I'm just like, okay, it's been 24 hours. I'm going to pick the highest price guy in this list, and he's going to make my software. And so I did that. I hired a Russian guy. Russians and Eastern Europeans are typically very good engineers. So
Yeah.
nothing
A lot of
quite-
programmers from
yeah,
that area.
nothing quite wrong with that.
Yeah.
And we explained the software. I explained the software to him, and he's like, okay, this is doable. It'll take X amount of time. I don't remember. It's like 3 months. And that's how my story begins. So then like 2 weeks go by. I try to check in with him, and he's like, oh, I'll have something to show you soon. And I'm spending like $2,500 a week on this guy because he was,
$2,500 a week?
yeah, he was like $75 an hour or something. So yeah. So yeah, like $60 an hour or something like that.
Yeah. It's 10 grand a month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So $2,500 a week. 2 weeks go by. I'm $5,000 in. And I'm like, hey, man, can I get an update? Like, what's going on? Are we making progress? He's like, yeah, I have something to show you in a couple weeks. So I'm like, okay, cool. I check in with him again, like 2 weeks later, $10,000 in. Hey, man, you want to get on a call so you can show me what you got? He's like, oh, no, it's not ready quite yet. We can get on a call soon. And then just to spare everybody's time of repeating the cycle over and over and over again, this happened for 5 months.
Damn.
So, like, now it was a little bit before the 5-month mark. So I'm like $40,000 down at this point. And I contact my friend David Abrams, who worked at Demio, and he had helped Wyatt hire engineers to work on Demio.
Yeah. So
So I was like, hey, I hired this engineer, and he's building me a software, and I'm asking him to send me his code, and I don't know what to look for. I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know anything here. And David agreed to help me. And we are like bugging the engineer to send the code, and he won't even send it to us. So I'm like, oh my God, what the hell's going on? 2 weeks go by, so another like couple $1,000s lost.
yeah.
And he
Oh,
finally
fishy.
sends the code. And then David, and I get on call and go through it. We're trying to figure it out. Turns out like the code is total shit. Like there's nothing there. It's
Damn.
nothing usable at all. There's only like a couple hundred lines. So he probably wrote it in, like 25 minutes
Yeah.
prepping for the call. And then David takes a look at his profile on Upwork for me, and he's not even like a software developer. He's a mobile app developer who codes in like this template. It's like Flutter or something that is just a templated library thing, like very specialized. So he could have never made the software in the first place. This isn't even like the kind of code he knows how to write. So here I am, 4.5 months later, almost $50,000 gone, and I have
Damn.
zero to show for it. And I was just like, oh man, enraged.
That's
I
gotta
felt
be a crusher.
taken advantage of so low. to me, I'd been so irresponsible with my money that this is like a huge chunk of my net worth gone, and I have nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
And later that day, like I just remember feeling there was a certain day, I probably like the day after I found out that it was all bullshit and I was just being scammed. I never got the money back either. So, but like the next day, I'm just so frustrated. I don't know what to do. I feel like I can't focus because I'm so angry. And I somehow stumbled across the book, The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. And this was just, if I had never run into this situation, I probably would have never read this book. None of this would have ever happened. And I realized something. I mean, reading that, and for those of you who don't know, it's all about like stoicism. It's all, it kind of reminds me of like Alcoholics Anonymous, where they talk about, God grant me the serenity to, I don't know, I'm going to butcher it, but, take on the things that I can, ignore the things I can't control, blah, 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 and the wisdom to know the difference. I'm so sorry to everybody in AA. But my point is that the book taught me to stop focusing on things that are out of my control. So right now, I'm in a situation and I can like moan, cry, and be sad about this and just like wallow in my despair because there's a lot of money and I'm so depressed. Or I can take this and use it as a strength to be a better, like first of all, before I get into a project, learn about how to hire, right? Yeah. Learn who I need to hire, do some actual research, spend time to conduct proper interviews and do all these things. And I'm like so certain that if I didn't go through these hard times, if I didn't go through that, like I never would have been able to make Smart Apps the company that it was. At our peak there, we were making like a couple $1 million a year selling software exclusively. And if I didn't go through those hard times, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Now, what most people will do is they'll look at a failure like that and they'll be like, I'm not made out for this. This is bullshit. I got taken advantage of. I can't do this. And instead I said, no, I want to do this. But what I need to do is look at everything I did wrong. Why did this happen to me? Instead of this happened to me, I understand that it's my fault. I let it happen to me. Yeah. Now, how can I take control of the situation, learn from it, and let all these bad things be such a great lesson to me? Yeah. So I take $50,000. It's basically like I bought a $50,000 course in how to be a better software hirer. Just like CEO of a software company almost. And it was so painful. But when you lose that much money, that is a huge motivator because you're like, holy shit, I am never making these mistakes again. Yeah. So here's everything I did wrong. Now I never have to worry about doing these things again. And now I know the right steps to take. It's like reverse engineering, right? Yeah. And it's something, well, no, that's not really relevant. But yeah, like you reverse engineer these bad times and what's happening, why are things going wrong? And then you turn those into your strengths because now you have processes of what you actually need to do. Yeah. And then it just helped me overall better in life too, because having the strength to take this failure and turn it into a lesson has also shaped how I approach almost everything in my life.
How so?
Well, now it's just when bad things happen to me, I try to analyze them more logically and see what went wrong. Why did it go wrong? Do I have any control over the situation? Am I letting it control me? Because, there is no good or bad, right? There's only perception. Mm-hmm. I could have chosen to see in this situation as terrible, but I didn't want it to control me. I didn't want it to control my emotions. I didn't want it to control my life. So I chose to make fucking lemonade, bro, and make it a good experience, a learning experience. Like I said, it's not a $50,000 failure. It's a $50,000 lesson. Yeah. Okay. People go to college to get lessons. I got a lesson and it cost as much as a fucking college education, right? But yeah, and now I just take that same approach to everything I do in life, and I try to look at things logically, don't let them control me, and see how I can handle or control the situation. And if there's nothing I can do, if I can't control the situation, then I just don't waste mental energy on it because it's pointless. I can't do anything anyways. Yeah. And that has just freed me up because I remember as a teenager and, even in my early 20s, I would just get so frustrated about things that were out of my control. And what you're doing there is you're actually kind of putting yourself in that things happen to me instead of I make things happen mindset.
Yeah.
Because when you get upset about things that are out of your control, you're basically saying like, oh, this sucks. Why is this happening to me? Instead of realizing, well, it's not happening to you. It's happening irrelevant of you. And you have no control over it anyways. So just move on. You control your life. Choose to ignore it. Move on. Be productive and do what you need to do to keep moving, whether it's in your business, relationship, friendships, fucking weight loss journey, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I mean, that's about it. I think that sums it up for me.
Dude, I have a question. So it's easy to say like, yeah, you just got to take responsibility and get back to it. Yeah, it's easy to say that. It's like extremely hard to do.
You just got to.
So like when you got to that place where you felt the worst, you know, like before you took the response, like how long did it take for you to have that realization and change and, you know, really start building back up?
Bro, I wish that I had like this really cool story and long-winded answer about it, but honestly, it was like that same day. Because,
oh, really?
Yeah, because I read the book and I was like, this just logically, you have to be logical. That's what's important is if you let your emotions get involved, then you're fucked. But if you think logically, which we need to do because nothing cares about our emotions, right? Like I can be upset, but nothing's going to change. And when I thought about that logically, I was like, yeah, well, there's literally no point in being upset. There's nothing I can do. I just need to learn from this. So there's no cool lesson in it. It's just that I realized it was almost as if a flip had switched, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I can't let this control me. If I do, then I'm fucked. I need to go out there and make up this money that I lost. So I have no choice anyways. I can't sit around and be upset about it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, congrats. I love how that get that round fist bump. I love how you just took. I mean, that's horrible to lose like 50 G's, dude.
And not just that, but to get fucking scammed out of it by some guy who is just lying to you and doing that shit. But, you know.
But then you came back and then you built a software company. Yeah. You learned how to hire. Like, you got a great strength out of that lesson. So.
Dude, and I don't know if I'd be the same person. I don't even know if I'd be as successful. Yeah. Instead of viewing it as a negative, I let it build the person I am today.
Yeah. 100%, man.
All right, man. So let's get into it. What about you? Where's your big horror story, and how did it build the amazing ripped buff super marketer?
Yeah, let's keep those compliments going. Yeah, man, there's been a bunch of them. I really do think that like historically, if you look back, some of my hardest times or the things that sucked the most, they ended up turning into a great strength for me, and I think it continues to happen. Yeah. So like it's something I try to remember every time something like goes bad or I'm feeling really terrible. I agree with a lot of things that you said. But as an example, there's one part where our business was like really stalled out, and it started getting me like really, really frustrated. And I was sitting in Chicago and I was like drinking all the time. And Chicago wintertime is horrible.
So I don't know. A while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. It was like 2013. It was a really bad time. I was like really depressed, to be honest. When I would look up, I get to work every day and I was like I'd work for as long as I could. And I was like, I don't even know what to do. The business wasn't growing. I was in the middle of Chicago winter. It was
drunk.
It was pretty bad there for a minute. I just felt horrible. And then, enough time passed and I was like, dude, I have to change. There's a moment where I felt so bad, or I felt like I don't even know what it was, but I remember laying down, it just felt like there's like pressure on my chest. Like I'm not going anywhere. Like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Just like that anxiety overwhelming you.
Yeah, man. And I was like, dude, I have to change. And so I did. I decided I was just going to change up everything. I was going to, sell everything. And I moved to South America, moved to Colombia. And, that was like a catalyst for a change. And then, when I got there, or in this time period, I was like, why aren't we growing? Well, it's because I do operations, like my day-to-day in that time was I'm an ops guy. I do the systems. I make sure that support is on point. I make sure all the production, the orders are flowing through and all that shit was good. And realize that stuff is really important and that's great. You need to have that for a business, but that doesn't actually help a business grow. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To grow, you need to learn, you need to do sales and marketing. And I was like, how much time do I spend per day doing sales and marketing? It's like 0. And so I was like, oh, I need to learn sales and marketing. And I thought that I knew sales and marketing at the time. I was like, I could talk to you about it,
Yeah, it's
but I
like the
couldn't
Dunning-Kruger.
actually do it, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I gotta learn marketing. And so I did learn marketing. And then after that, dude, it was just like, that was like a turning point in the business. It was a turning point in my life. I changed, my mindset, I changed from like, oh, all these updates are happening to us. The business doesn't grow because of the market to like, I have to get out of Chicago. I have to take responsibility. I have to figure out how to do marketing. I just took all the responsibility. And then, our business really started to grow after that. So I'm actually really thankful when I look back. I'm like, man, that time sucked. It sucked to stall out in the business. It sucked to be in Chicago winter time, but I'm actually really glad that happened, because if it didn't, I don't know if I would have changed so much internally. And like, I had to put on a different mindset, I had to take massive action. So yeah, man, that's my story.
It seems like it's a common trend, between, I would assume maybe, hopefully, it's with the listeners too, but like you and I, we go through these hard times and we both realize like, fuck this, like we're in control, and we take these hard times, analyze why we're in this position, and then we take that and build it into our strengths.
Yeah. But dude, sometimes it's not as easy as you had that one day and you change, you know what I'm saying? If you can do that, that's awesome.
Dude,
that's a
book,
skill
man.
to practice. It's a great
Ryan
book. You should
Holiday.
read that book. But I have to tell you, like, for me, it was not like that. It definitely took me like months of being like, dude, I don't know what to do. And so, that was really hard. That was like the first time I actually, changed that mindset from like things happen to me to I make things happen,
Yeah.
And if I would have known that back then, maybe I could have done it faster. But that is really the mindset you got to have, is like, you have to take the responsibility. And if you do, then you're empowered to go, change up the entire game.
Yeah. Dude, man, what you're making me think is that everybody just needs to read that damn book, okay? Because if it did for me in a day, and I know you've read it, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think? If you were able to, or if you had the obstacles the way in that moment, so let's say you're down, things aren't working, you read that book, do you think that would have been, boom, like a switch for you? Or
maybe, to be honest, I think I might have even read the book previous to that. But sometimes, books hit you in the look. Not all information hits you at the right time. That's why you can go back and you can go back and read a book and you get new insights from that same book. How? Well, it's because it's a different time in your life. So you found the book at the right perfect time. And hopefully somebody finds this podcast at the right perfect time. They're going through something bad, going through something hard, and realize that this might be an opportunity for them to change themselves, because that's what really is going to make the whole difference.
That's actually a good point, because there was a book that I read recently too that same thing. Like, I hated the book, and then I went back and reread it. I was like, oh my God, this is my favorite book.
Yeah.
So it's all about, where you are at that time, what kind of information you're seeking. Are you in the mindset to properly receive that information?
Yeah.
But I guess if there's one key takeaway that we have for everyone, it's that if you're struggling, realize that you're in more control over that struggle than you think.
Yeah.
I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest takeaway that I want people to know is that if you're in a bad time, if you're in a horrible time, this may be the thing you may be grateful for in the future, because this might produce one of your future greatest strengths. I was great. I was good at ops, but I wasn't that good at marketing. And because our business didn't grow because it was a horrible time, well, guess what? Now marketing became one of my greatest strengths. So I'm thankful that I sucked. I'm thankful that the business.
100x.
The business 20x'd in the next 5 years after that. So and not 20x'd from. We were already doing $100,000 a month, so it wasn't like we were doing $5 a month. Yeah. You get 20x $5, that's one thing.
Ooh, but, amazing.
When you start 20x in a six-figure a month business, that makes a big difference. I
think people will understand too that when these moments, while they do suck, I end up missing a lot of them, because I'm like, man,
I don't miss it.
There's some times where I was in a similar situation, but I wasn't in Chicago. I was here in St. Petersburg. 2012, just living by myself, drinking every day, no friends, just trying to figure out how to grow my business. So not necessarily stuck, but trying to figure out how to grow. Yeah. And forcing myself to stay inside like that's what helped me. Like, no, I can't hang out with friends. No, I can't do anything. I have to grow my business. And I guess I appreciate it. I wouldn't say that I miss it, but I appreciate what I did and the times that I had to endure.
Yeah, I mean, you probably don't appreciate it in the moment, but when you look back, I mean, that's when you say, like, damn, like, And that's hard to see, like future pacing, or it's hard to be like, if you're in the moment right now with something bad, like it's really hard to be like grateful for that moment. But I think you have to just look back historically and think about, okay, what are your greatest strengths? What bad shit happened to you that produced that great strength? And if you do see that pattern, then when you're in something that's hard, difficult, whatever right now, well, you might start being grateful for it because you just see the historical pattern.
And the good times, like, we never really get much from the good times. We're really only learning when things are tough and when we're failing. When you're like, man, I suck. This shit sucks. Everything sucks. You feel that way because it's hard. And when it's hard, that means you're accomplishing things and you're learning.
Yeah.
So it's huge. I find myself doing that now because, we're going through the stuff with Alex Charfin, like trying to scale our business significantly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this sucks. And I realize how much I suck. And then I get overwhelmed. And then I'm like, no. This is a good thing. I'm going to grow significantly because of this. So I need to reframe the way I look at it.
Yeah.
So
cool, man.
I think that's what we got, guys.
All right. Rowdy episode.
Rowdy
Boom.
Fist bump. And now I have a question for our viewers. Clayton, if our viewers haven't yet liked, commented, subscribed, and rang the bell on YouTube,
what are you doing?
what are they doing? What are you guys doing? Come on. You don't want to see Clayton and I cry about bad times in our life more often? We can make it happen.
So bad.
So if you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell. Bing. Do it. If you're
please,
on
the
Apple
comments, baby. Yeah.
Podcasts, leave that 5-star review
5.
with text.
Yes,
so
with
we know
text.
what you think and what you're feeling. And then also subscribe. And if you're on Spotify, all you can do is subscribe.
Yeah.
Switch to a better platform, but also subscribe. And then go to rowdyboys.net and
get on the
enter
email
your
list.
email list so
Yeah.
you can get cool VIP updates. We'll use yellow boxes with black font. Clayton designs the emails himself. They're absolutely great. This guy
Gorgeous.
is a master. But that's what we got for you today. So like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, or just leave a 5-star review. Guys,
Boom.
this is the Rowdy Boys.
Rowdy boys.
Yeah, let's go. See you guys on the next